Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to Everything Aish. So today we're going to talk about family pressures. Now listen, this may be one that you want to watch with your parents, so if that's the case, make sure you grab your tea because it's going to be interesting.
Stevie BB. You now rockin' with the best. Boy, don't you leave me on red. I'ma tell you one last time, stop playing with me. You know bad bitch don't come for free. You now rockin' with the best. Boy, don't you leave me on red. I'ma tell you one last time, stop playing with me and let's go. Let's go.
So, family pressures. First of all, what do I define as family pressures? I define family pressures as expectations of you that are brought on from your immediate family. And I say immediate family because, in my opinion, pressures from people that don't live in your household and pressures from people who didn't raise you, who didn't birth you, don't really matter. I think I can take your opinion into account, but because you're not my mum, because you're not my dad, you may not even be a close auntie, a close uncle, you can't really come and rule my life the way, you know, my parents can. Do you know what I mean? No shade, like, just saying. When you're young and you're growing up, your family expect things of you. And as you get older, the expectations get bigger. I feel like kids who are like my generation, so you've grown up with parents who are of a country and came to the UK type, so you didn't grow up in your native country of the diaspora or however, you know, people like to bring it. But we have expectations of like two kinds. We have your traditional cultural expectations, then you have like your general in-country expectations. However, some people expect a bit more than others. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think when you expect so much from a child, they get to a point where they're scared to disappoint you, and that fear of disappointing you could slowly creep into fear of you. Now, I'm not saying that always happens. It doesn't. Let's fast forward to GCSEs. Some parents will expect their kids to do as well as they can. You know, I want you to do as well as you can. You work hard, I want you to just, you know, do good. Do the best that you can do in this time. Some parents expect their kids to come out with no less than all A stars or 9s in the current system, which is a bit of a problem. And here's why. If you have a child, growing up, you will learn your child's strengths and your child's weaknesses in school. Now, if you sit here, and you deep your child's academic level in school, right? If you sit here, and you're saying, my child throughout school has always been good at English, science, history, right? They've never been good at maths. Why are you going to come and tell your child, I expect you, or I really, really want you, like, you have to, you know, get an A star in maths? It's not going to happen. Now, when you start to enlist such unrealistic expectations on your children, the way a child would get to the point where they're not reading and they're not wanting to get good grades for themselves. They're wanting to get good grades because they don't want to upset you. They don't want to disappoint you as a parent, which I personally don't think is correct, because when kids get older and kids step into the adult world and they're no longer under their parents' roofs, because they spent their whole childhood basically doing things because they don't want to disappoint their parents, when they're in a stage where they're not under the strict ruling of their parents, everything is just gonna fall. If they've never been self-motivated and only been motivated by the fact that they're scared of disappointing you, they're not going to do well. Because uni, I feel like for a lot of people, if you've been to uni, you know uni is the biggest test of self-discipline. If you don't do your work and you don't have things in, your lecturer won't chase you, your lecturer doesn't care. Because at the end of the day, you're paying to be there. If you don't do the work, that's you. If you don't show up to exams, that's you. If you're not trying your hardest to do work outside of lessons, that's you. Lecturers don't chase you. If you want to come to class and don't pay attention, the lecturer will just kick you out. Do you know what I mean? Don't care. If you don't show up to class, the lecturer's not going to chase you. Don't care. It's the biggest test of self-discipline. So if you spent your whole life only doing things not because you yourself want to get, you know, the best grade you can, but because your parent has told you this is what you must get, when you get to uni and your parent has told you, listen, all I want you to do is, you know, you're not used to hearing do your best. You're not used to hearing, you know, this, and now you're not under the watchful eye of your parent. You're just not gonna have the motivation or anything. You're just gonna be failing left, right and center. And I feel like having expectations on your kids that are of a level that on of a standard of what, like, let's say they can't keep up with, it just breeds a lot of like self-disappointment. I didn't get lower than a B in my GCSEs, which I'm fine. However, when I got a B, yeah, I was so disappointed. I wasn't disappointed because I was like, I'm gonna go home with a B and my parents are gonna shout at me. It was self-disappointment because I know myself, I could do so much better. I could have maybe read this a bit more. I could have maybe written stuff like this a bit more in the exam. It's for me, it was more self-evaluation than, oh no, like I'm going home to my mum and my mum's gonna start shouting at me. Or I'm going home to my dad and my dad is gonna say like, chill. Do you know what I mean? And listen, I don't think a little bit of pressure is a bad thing. I think if you sometimes you let your kids do what they want and yeah, don't always go great. So I think a little pressure is healthy. A little bit of push, you know. Well, listen, when you're the oldest child, yeah, if you're the oldest child, if you're the only child, or if you are the only like sex in your family, so like me being the only girl, or if there's an only boy, there's a lot of pressure on you because one, you have to lead by example, and two, as the oldest, the legacy of the family is all on you. So if you start to do things that disgrace your family, like, done. Do you know what I mean? And pressure isn't just academic. Pressure could be how you look, how you dress. It could be how you present yourself to other people, because there's always like, you know, this, oh, you're carrying your family's name everywhere you go, so you need to behave in a way that isn't shameful. You need to do things that aren't considered shameful. Now this shame word, yeah, this shame word to me is a very strong word. I think to tell your kids that they have shamed you, that one can really come and really be burning in the chest, because I feel like as kids who have a strong, like, stricter back home culture and then grow up in a country that is the complete opposite, is very difficult for us because we have to navigate ourselves accordingly. Obviously, we've had a level of home training that is statistically and like normally more traditional of our culture. We're not brought up with British values. Like, just carrying around, like, you know, these lessons that you're taught from young that you've been brought up with. So whenever you're caught in a situation and you're doing the exact opposite, it's as if you're now lacking home training. It's as if you're bringing shame. It's as if your parents have never taught you anything. Like, it's a lot to deal with. Like, if you're ever caught slipping, let's say you're out with your friends, yeah, and you and your friends are bantering about, you're joking around, you get caught by one uncle, you get caught by one auntie, and they're just looking at you like, and I feel like when you grow up with people of different cultures, you learn the difference between you and them. Do you know what I mean? So African culture and Asian culture, different. African culture and British or white culture, different. They do things that I would never do, right? And I do things that they would never do. Do you know what I mean? So there's no one size fits all when it comes to, you know, culture, which makes this whole family pressure thing even higher, because it's like, you don't want to be the talk of your family because you've done bad things. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to be, oh, Aisha has failed uni, or Aisha has done this, or Aisha has done that. You don't need that kind of gossip in your life. You don't. And when you're in a family situation, you can just feel like with everything you do, you just have to impress your parents. With everything you do, your parents have to be happy with you. I can only speak on African culture because I'm African, but I feel like in an African household, if you're not a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, an accountant, what are you doing with your life? Which for one isn't fair. And I can understand why our parents push us into those careers, because those careers have so much stability. Those are careers that are going to be needed. You will never not need a lawyer somewhere. You will never not need a doctor. Do you know what I mean? You'll never not need an engineer. These are careers that are so stable in life. And these are careers that, you know, if you have one of these careers, you will be set, right? So parents don't like to hear that their kids want to do media studies. You know, they don't want to hear that their kid wants to be a stewardess. They don't want to hear that their kid wants to do, you know, international relations, politics. Like, they're not trying to be hearing all these other different careers. But my stance on this is, yeah, and I would say this to anyone's parents: if you're ever pushing your kid in something they don't want to do, they will never, ever, ever do well. Ever. But this is the catch, yeah? If you want to be in a field, if you've picked a field, let's say you've picked the field of media, right? You just need to make sure that you've done your hardest and you're trying to be the best you could possibly be within that field. Don't be complacent. Because otherwise there's no point. What's the point in trying to convince your parents, oh yeah, I want to do this, if you're just going to get there and be lazy about it, do you know what I mean? Because when your parents start to see that, you know, your hard work in whatever career is paying off, when they start to see that you're getting good opportunities, be it a salary increase, be it exposure, they start to see the vision that you saw in the beginning. But if you get there and you have nothing to show for it, they're never going to back you in what you want to do ever again. In terms of parents, like, I think it's so important to push your kids in the direction that they want to go. Don't carry them and push them in the direction they don't want to be in, because either they'll purposely fail and purposely sabotage it so they can tell you it didn't work and I want to do this instead, or they will never truly be happy. I am so against people going to uni and people doing degrees that their parents want them to do and doing degrees that they have no interest in, because uni is so difficult. If you hate what you do at uni, you will never finish. You will never. Every day, every year will feel like a drag, because there needs to be a bit of fire behind you whenever, like, you're in uni. There needs to be a bit of, you know, give and take. When you're enjoying the things that you do at uni, it makes it just that a little bit easier. If you despise it and you hate it, you will never do well, because you can't be a robot at uni. Uni isn't just read the slides, take the exam. Uni is background research, background reading, you know, having an interest in what you're doing. It helps with the passion of, you know, the degree. So if ever you're feeling pressure from your family, I promise you, like, I'm not saying don't you want to go against them, but have an open conversation with your parents and be like, listen, I think if I did this, I wouldn't be happy and I wouldn't like it. This is what I want to do for me, and I really want to show you that with this is where I can be. Come with a plan. Don't just come, you know, willy-nilly. Oh yeah, I want to do this. Okay, but how will you get there? What's the plan after? What steps are you going to take? Where can this lead you to in the future? All these questions that you know you could be potentially asked, have answers for them. If you have practical answers, no one can chat to you. No one can really say anything, can they? First of all, never doubt yourself. Always have a plan of action, and always, not I'm saying don't have answers for everything, but always have a direction with whatever you're doing and wherever you want to plan to go. If you're a bit uncomfortable, communication is really important, because I feel like, especially within African culture, you don't talk back to your parents. If your parents told you this is it. Like, no answering back. But I feel like it's really healthy to just have room for communication. Not answering back, but have a conversation. Be like, do you know what? Like, I understand what you're saying to me. However, this is what I think. This is what I feel. And I feel like there should always be room for conversation and there should always be room for communication in a positive way, not an argument. If it ever turns into an argument, yeah, conversation's over, but just a healthy chat. And you need to remember, in this life, nothing is by force. Nothing is by force. No one can ever force your hand to do anything. But at the same time, rebelling isn't making a point and it's not making a stand. It will only make things worse. So going to uni and failing on purpose just so they can kick you out, not positive. Purposely sabotaging yourself, you know, just because you don't like something, don't do it. It's not worth it, because I feel like it's just not productive. It's not good. It's not healthy. Don't help. Life is for living, and you will never truly be happy if you're living for somebody else. So I'm gonna leave you with that. I'll leave you to ponder over that thought. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Everything Life with Everything Aish. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And if you want to like me to touch on a specific topic, if you want me to do my research and come back with some facts for you, comment down below things you want to see from me. And yeah, I'll see you next time on this channel. Bye.
You got a fella that you want. Say yeah. Need some old school love. Say yeah.